Federal Drive is presented by GEHA, Government Employees Health Association, proudly providing health and dental benefits to federal employees and their families. Visit GEHA.com.
House lawmakers want to ensure any incidents involving Defense Department artificial intelligence systems are quickly reported. The House Armed Services Committee's markup of the 2027 Defense Authorization Bill would establish a protected disclosure program for AI systems at DoD. For more on this, Federal News Network's Justin Doubleday joins me now. Justin, thanks for being here.
Good to be with you, Terry.
There's a lot to parse through in the NDAA. What are the details of this new proposal?
Yeah, this caught my eye. It would set up an incident and vulnerability reporting program for AI systems specifically at the Defense Department. This would be a central program where AI incident reports would feed up from, all of the military services and military commands and defense organizations. This requirement was included in the House Armed Services Committee's Cyber Information Technology and Innovation Subcommittee's mark of the 2027 Defense Authorization Bill. So that subcommittee, of course, has oversight of AI at DoD. And they're clearly interested here in setting up a program that would be able to identify recurring risks, failure modes, vulnerabilities, and just systemic weaknesses in AI systems so they can be addressed. And obviously this is happening as the Defense Department has really accelerated its adoption of AI under the Trump administration and has stated that it really wants to adopt AI across nearly every facet of its operations. And so it's fair to say that almost every single, employee or contractor at DoD probably touches an AI system in one way or another as part of their job.
Does the NDAA have provisions about who would oversee this proposed program?
So this provision would require the Secretary of Defense to designate a single official that would oversee this central reporting program. And this official would have a pretty big role if this provision comes to pass. I spoke to Colin Shea Blymeyer. He's a research fellow at Georgetown University's Center for Security and Emerging Technology about the influence that an official like that could have at a massive institution like DoD.
I think that this position might seem kind of pedestrian, but could potentially play a really big role in the future of AI adoption, not just in the Department of Defense, but across the government. And potentially, if some of these reports become public, I think they could be really great lessons for the adoption of AI in industry. It could really drive growth in AI beyond the Department of Defense.
That's a really interesting perspective on the significance of the perch of this position, if you will, at DoD. Are there other AI disclosure programs like this in other parts of the government?
Well, this would be kind of a landmark program. There really isn't any sort of AI incident and vulnerability reporting program that exists quite like this today. There are states such as California have passed AI safety laws that includes protections for whistleblowers, like employees at companies when they find something wrong with an AI system. Various research institutes and nonprofits have proposed establishing kind of a broader national AI incident reporting system and framework, but there isn't a federal program that exists today that is similar to what's being proposed here in the House's version of the NDAA. There's certainly one of the interesting things about this provision is it would require DoD's AI reporting program to emphasize non-punitive reporting of, AI incidents and vulnerabilities. That's to ensure that no one can be fired or have any sort of action taken against them for reporting up the chain something that they find wrong with an AI system. That's kind of similar to the cybersecurity world, where there are things called vulnerability disclosure policies that encourage security researchers to report software vulnerabilities through established channels, including by protecting them from legal liability for finding software vulnerabilities, which can also be viewed as hacking in some cases. And so this is kind of similar to that white hat hacking model that already exists in the cybersecurity world.
There are other aspects of this that sound like the cybersecurity space, but what makes AI different from those kinds of disclosure programs?
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, cybersecurity kind of requires specialized research or specialized expertise in software to find these vulnerabilities. As I mentioned earlier, DoD and everyone else now using AI, just about any average user can use, some of these ChatGPT or Claude or what have you type platforms. And so AI is used by a lot more people, and a lot more people have the potential to be able to identify an AI incident or even a vulnerability that they might find just through a system prompt or something like that. And so this could potentially allow a lot wider range of users to report AI incidents and vulnerabilities than your average kind of vulnerability disclosure program in cybersecurity. But another big difference is that DoD and any other organization that uses AI is somewhat limited in how they can directly address an AI system incident or vulnerability, because these frontier AI models are owned by just a few private technology companies. And I spoke with Shay Blymeyer from Georgetown about that as well.
The Department of Defense doesn't have the actual access to the model weights to be able to fix that. Maybe, though, it's something that can be changed by fiddling with the system prompt, right? And maybe they have access to that. Beyond that, right, the system's out sort of around the outside of the AI model itself, things like automatic guardrails or having access controls to what kinds of files the AI system might have access to. Those sorts of external controls, those might be sufficient.
Well, AI has certainly been in the headlines a lot. Are there other provisions around it in the markup of the Defense Authorization Bill?
Yeah, there's two other provisions that I think are particularly interesting here in the House Armed Services Committee's markup. One section would direct the Chief Digital and Artificial Intelligence Officer at the Pentagon to establish an AI model rapid deployment framework to enable kind of the quick onboarding, security, authorization, and then deployment of AI systems on enterprise DoD platforms. And then there's another section that would have DoD update its autonomous weapon systems policy. And so that's another particularly kind of interesting oversight mechanism here that lawmakers in the House are interested in putting in the NDAA.
Lots to watch as this moves through the process then.
Absolutely. There's going to be a lot more AI provisions, I'm sure, coming from the Senate, and then even as amendments as well.
That's Federal News Network's Justin Doubleday. Justin, thanks for the story.
Thanks, Terry.
You can find all of the details at federalnewsnetwork.com.